So before, I have another headline I can do, Tina, Monica, but let me pause. Anybody on the Clubhouse side or Twitter side, did you want to unmic? Did that resonate with you? Anything we said? I always want to acknowledge we have our audio audience, and we'd love to hear from you if you wish to unmic and jump in. I'll pause for 3 seconds because I can't do 10. Tina's too long.
They're breathing.
Okay, cool. So we'll continue on. Good. So the other headline, older adults are obsessed, Monica, with these 5 tech tips. See what you think about this. This, again, is another article in the Wall Street Journal. Health wearables. Christina said do not. There's a story behind that. Christina knows. Health wearables. We have home assistants. We have streaming services, Monica. We have password protection. We have scam prevention. We have a few things here, Monica. So when you see this, Monica, this headline, what I think is interesting, older adults are obsessed with these 5 tech topics. Sometimes, Monica, my ignorance, you think, oh, let my niece do it. But this headline implies, in fact, no, they're like, boo, you can step to the side. Granddaddy got it. What do you think when you see the headline, Monica?
I think that headline is right on. For the years that I was still in the productivity and organizing field, Ramon, I worked with a lot of seniors, and I can tell you firsthand, they had me showing them how to not just doing things for them on their computer, but teach me how to do this. No matter who we are, we want to and need to feel capable as human beings. And older adults are just like younger adults, just in older bodies, right? We all want to feel like we can take care of ourselves and that we are taking smart steps to protect ourselves. And so I absolutely think this is right on. And I also think that as of course, younger generations become older, that technology learning curve is going to become less and less steep, because just like you and I, we're Gen X, Ramon. We didn't grow up with laptops and iPhones. And so our learning curve, when we leaped into technology, we were full on adults. But the kids today, they have it from the time they're young. And so as they get older, they will already have a knowledge base that is where they're familiar with technology. They're comfortable with it. That's the other real important thing. And as far as today's seniors go, I think the more we can lean into the fact that our human brains are plastic and malleable and excited to learn new things, we should support our seniors in learning the things that they feel competent and capable of learning. I think it's super exciting.
Absolutely. Listen, we have about 3 more minutes to go before we turn into, I'm just going to call it right now, the Dr. Janie Lacey. So I feel like I'm some big-time Hollywood producer. I mean, I should just hire Dr. Janie Lacey to work for me. I'd give her like a cup of Cafe Bustelo. I couldn't give it to her daily. I'd probably only could afford to give it to her like once a week or so. We'll see if her agent would allow her to accept that. I have a feeling it'd be a hard no. Ramon, I can hear her voice. Ramon, I love you, but that's a no. Anyways, everybody, again, this is the live show, 5 a.m. To 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on live video, and then we go back into Clubhouse and have our discussion with our amazing hosts as well, 9 a.m. and afterwards. I'm here being co-hosted serendipitously, which I love. Stars Tina, thanks for being here. Stars Tina, stay with me for a bit here, and Monica Ricky, as well as we continue on with the Breakfast with Champions show. You know, I'm going to sneak in because it's like it's live TV. Can I sneak in a commercial break, another commercial break, Steve? That's okay, Monica? Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Let's see if I just love clicking these buttons. It is so cool. Let's do one. So Icon Meals is a friend of Scott Simons and etc. Let's hear from them real quick. Here we go.
Icon Meals really made it easy to lose weight. It's so easy to hit your goals when you basically have your own personal chef. I just order my food online and it shows up at my door a few days later.
Is the coupon code. All right. Listen, let me give you the final word, Stars Tina and Monica. And if you're available, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Dr. Janie, feel free to give me a thumbs up if we can bring you on right now. Dr. Janie, we'll have a little bit of discussion and banter. Cool. And then I'm going to go off, but if Stars Tina and Monica, you all can stay. That's great. But I'll let you all do that in our back chat. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Dr. Janie. What's up, Dr. Janie Lacey? How are you?
I am doing well. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Stars. Hi, Monica.
Good morning.
Good
Ramona, are you going to be putting that Icon daily food thing in BWC? Because I need that information, and that looks really good.
Absolutely. Iconmeals.com's then coupon code BWC Daily. Dr. Jenny Lacey, what are you going to talk about today? 10 seconds. Just give us a taste, a little preview. What are you going to talk about today? What's
Yes.
going on? I know you always bring it. Talk to us.
We are bringing in a special guest to have a conversation around the champions mindset with the NCAA just recently wrapping up. It's going to be a lively conversation. So glad to have our special guest and to have Monica and Stars join us in the conversation.
Absolutely. Did you know, Dr. Jenny Lacey, I was having an event with Christina Howard. This is what she was referring to, Stars Tina. And I was doing a live event with Christina Howard's having her youth summit in North Carolina, I believe it was. And, you know, I forgot what happened, but here's how it went in my mind as of today. Young bro challenging me like he thought I was like an old goat. He's like, really? Please. And I'm like, please, back to him. Right now, let's drop and do push-ups. Dr. Jenny Lacey, Monica, and Stars Tina. He's thinking, Ramon's got to be 60, 70 with his cane, maybe 80. He was out of breath on the floor heaving, and I was still going like sipping a cup of water with no sugar in it. So
that's right. There you go. There you go. Don't underestimate.
We'll bring you back, Dr. Jenny, in 10 seconds, as I'm going to try to produce rest of this. We'll bring you back, Dr. Jenny Lacey, in 1 second. So Stars Tina, Monica, thanks for rolling with me. Stars Tina, you want to say any last word before we transition over to Dr. Jenny Lacey? I know you're going to be with her.
No last words, but really quick on the topic when you were talking about seniors, we can't underestimate them. During COVID, my mother would go live all the time on Facebook when she walked. I'm like, why are you doing that? Nobody cares. People were actually talking to her while she was on there, and now she's getting paid. She's like, Facebook wants to pay me. Instagram wants to pay me. I'm like, how? Why? So yeah, the seniors are doing the most.
I love it. I love it. Monica, last words from you, please.
You know what? Kudos to your mom. That is such an inspiring thing to see seniors just really leaning in and embracing. And like Karen was saying in the chat, she's 65 and she is just like rocking it. She is a lifelong learner. I love it. It's inspiring.
Absolutely. So I got to click banners, take off Monica. Good. So I'm going to bring in you, Dr. Jenny Lacey, right now. Here we go. Add to stream. And I'm going to remove myself, Dr. Jenny Lacey. So feel free to run the show. Give me verbal cues when you want your guest, Damon, to come up. I'll leave Monica and Stars Tina for now, but you can just verbal cue me and say what you want. And I'll be listening. Thanks so much. It's your show now. Dr. Jenny.
Yes, I'll let you know when to bring Damon up. But yes, good morning. And thank you for hanging Monica and Stars. It's going to be a great conversation. You know what I was thinking about? I had participated in Orlando with a private community around talking about the NCAA. And it just made me really think about not only, this is not when it comes to, let me kind of put this disclaimer, trauma or anyone that's going through any type of mental health issues. We're not talking about changing their mindset to a champion's mindset. There's other things that have to happen. But for the rest of us, right, that are on a journey, it's important for us to understand what our mindset looks like in order to really, really start a different journey. And I would love to hear your thoughts here in a minute, Monica. But when it comes to success in life, and I think about Stars and Monica, my own life, right? It was so imperative for me to have a positive mental attitude, and it was essential because it wasn't always that way. There were times where I had a very negative mindset, just coming from where I came from, not thinking that I could do certain things. But we also know that confidence builds courage. So being able to do things, it can continue to build courage, and not only in my life, but just the people around me. But I also have discovered, and this is where we can bring in our guest here in just a minute, it's not just having skills and knowledge, right? So at some point I was just thinking it's just around having skills and knowledge. But one of the things that I discovered was I wasn't believing in myself. So if we don't believe in ourselves and push forward with confidence in particular, then it's going to be very difficult for us to reach our goals. And I just loved Glenn's kicking off our show this morning, talking about habits and just some of the goals and why winners and losers both have goals. But there is a difference to those that actually get to be champions or to be winners. But this is why I think it's so important for us to find, all of us, no matter what career we are, where we are in our life, for us to find our own champion's mindset, or whether it's through exercise, any of those types of things. But an internal source of motivation and inspiration that will help us get through any challenges. And I see this for many of my clients as well, and obstacles, because life is going to throw us all obstacles. You know, we are starting the day right now. So as soon as we go out in the world or start our day, we don't know what obstacles are going to throw at us, Stars, right? So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But it could be something as simple, you know, when I think about it, it could be something as simple as repeating, for some people, right, a mantra. We hear this on Breakfast with Champions, or visualization. Again, I'm not talking about people that are having mental health challenges or trauma, because that's a different level of healing that needs to happen first. But it could be something as some I used to have in the back of my office, but creating vision boards and having those vision boards where we're looking at our goals every single day as a reminder of the things that we want to achieve in life. But whatever works for you. So I think sometimes people hear us talking and they realize, well, I can't do that. Well, it's whatever works for you to get you to your goals. We're just kind of having a conversation to inspire people to make something part of their own daily routine. So when we believe in ourselves and staying focused and never giving up, no matter what obstacles come our way, with the champion's mindset, I believe anything is possible, Monica. So I'm going to have our guest come up. Today we have a special guest that's going to co-host with us, Damon Lane. He's a former college basketball athlete from the University of Northern Kentucky, and he's going to join us to chat about what athletes do and what we can learn from them in developing our new mindset. So welcome to Breakfast with Champions show, Damon.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, Stars and Monica.
Nice to meet you.
So before we jump in with you, Damon, I want to hear from you for a minute, Monica and Stars, about your thoughts, even about the champion's mindset, just some of the things that I shared. What are your thoughts, Monica?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind, Dr. Janie, and thank you so much for having me sit in here on this conversation. Your segments have been some of my favorites across the last couple of years. One of the first things that came to my mind is that when we're talking about champions can be made in, well, a couple of different ways. But we think about, I have to have this mindset in order to do the thing. But what is actually true, scientifically proven, is that we don't have to have the mindset before we do it. We can also start from the other end, which is doing it, which cultivates the mindset. So the body can start or the mind can start. You can approach it from either side of that circle, and it will complete the circle if you stay consistent enough. That was my own experience, actually.
Absolutely love it. Sometimes it's not a matter of waiting for our thoughts and our minds and all the things to line up. It's a matter of doing it. And then that's where our courage and our confidence can be built, because action builds courage. So thank you, Monica. And Stars, what are your thoughts?
Wow, loving the conversation. I'm not sure if anyone here heard of a movie called Joy. I watched it again this weekend, and it's all about what you just said, don't stop believing. And in this particular movie, the main character, when she was a little girl, her grandmother kept pouring to her head, you are going to be amazing, you are going to be great. But everyone else in her life was so negative to her. I don't know if you guys know those mops now that you pull them out and it's got the scrunchy cord on it. So everyone in her family, from her father to her mother, you're a loser, you can't do this, you can't do that. She was on QVC, that failed. She just kept failing and failing and failing and failing. But she had her grandmother's voice in her head constantly saying, you're going to change the world. And by the end of the movie, she ended up being the top person with QVC and HSN. And it just made me realize sometimes we just need that one person, that little voice, because her dad's like, I'm sorry I made you feel confident. I'm sorry I made you think you could change the world. And, at first she was like getting it. She was like, and her little girl said, well, Mom, Nanny said that you're going to change the world. You're going to be a massive woman. And she's like, well, she was wrong. I'm a loser. But then she tapped into her grandmother's thoughts. And I totally agree with that. So I love today's topic, champion mindset shift. That's what I've done recently, Dr. Janie. And again, thank you for having me on with you today.
Absolutely. And I have not seen that movie, but I will. But it made me think, Stars, I think we all probably, and even Damon can chime in here in a minute, we probably all have experiences through our life where people told us we couldn't do it or spoke certain things inside of us. And I remember my own experience of working for someone else's private practice, Stars, and I was ready to jump and to do my own thing. And I remember really, really vividly, the person I was working for sat and told me that I was not ready to build my own business because I didn't have enough referrals. And don't you know, many, many years later, this person came back to eat their words and wanting to partner with me, wanting to meet with me. So I remember all those things that you never know, right? How your words can also hurt, but also can they inspire others. And I can have many, many examples, but I do want to bring Damon into this conversation with the ladies here this morning. So Damon, as you reflect back for Northern Kentucky University. I mean, what are some of your habits that you would say that you've adopted and contributed to being on a winning team when it comes to your mindset?
Just dedication. I think that was the most important. A lot of people don't understand how much time actually goes into playing sports. Especially in college, it's like you have a full-time job. It was nothing for me to spend 8 hours in a day in a gym. It could be 5 hours just working on your craft, or 3 hours watching film. So I adopted a lot of studying, and I brought that into my world as I work now. I have the same study habits. I want to know everything and continue to learn. So that, that's what I pretty much bought in.
Thank you for sharing that, Damon. So I'm going to go back to Monica and Stars, and we're going to come back to you, Damon. So before Damon answers, our athlete here on the panel, I mean, what do you think, Monica, do you believe to be the most important factor to be for success, right? And then Damon can answer for athletes. I mean, what do you think?
Anti-fragility. There's this idea that we talk about in Heroic Coach around anti-fragility, and it's really the contrast between being fragile and easily broken and easily deterred, and the middle ground is resilient, which is being able to bounce back from being punched in the face or discouraged, all the way to anti-fragile, which is when you get that to that place where you have the belief that whatever happens, you don't even have to know what it is, but that you have the belief in yourself that whatever happens, you will handle it, you will figure it out, and that in doing so, you become even stronger and more powerful.
Absolutely.
Anti-fragility.
Love it, Monica. And I keep hearing that word belief. I mean, just belief, just believing in yourself and believing. And this is also what I believe is faith, right? Is believing in something that has not yet been seen and walking out then faith by also doing the work. So what are your thoughts, Stars?
So, of course, in my mind, I have all these words: dedication, like you said, hard work. But the main word that really sticks out for me is integrity. Because the way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. And when it comes to business, life, relationships, nutrition, the way you show up, it has to be authentic, in my opinion. And that's where the success comes. I didn't realize, I'm not going to say challenging, fun. I'm going to say fun. Like preparing for this right here yesterday, I was watching all the news shows, 5 a.m. with Al Roker, this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, I have to do this. And Damon made me think about it, sitting there for hours watching I don't watch other players because I'm basketball, but I get it. I was watching other people, and I was just like, as I watched it, I was like, okay, Tina, you got to do your makeup tomorrow morning, because I was just going to pop on. But then when I watched others, I was like, okay, I got to put into the work. I got to put the work in. Integrity. So if you have a solid base, a solid foundation of where you're going and what you want, it's just going to make it so much easier. That helps with my champion mindset. Back to you.
I love that, Stars. Integrity. It reminds me of, I like to tell people to really deep down develop their own roots and not be fruit pickers, right? Because like, as Damon said, we can go and be inspired by other people. But what you said, Stars, is we want to be authentic. We want to be unique. And that's our secret sauce. So don't go around picking other people's fruit. Go ahead and develop your roots. Grow your own tree. You can be inspired by other people, but truly, truly develop what is you. Because there'll never be another Monica. There'll never be another Stars. There'll never be another Damon. There'll never be another Dr. Janie. So Damon, what do you believe?
Very quick, Dr. Jason, before you say that, I want to piggyback off what you said, because when you said picking the fruits, I have to tell you, whenever I watched you doing your lives on Instagram, I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so beautiful. I have to do my makeup. So I do pick from other fruits and then put it into my roots to help me even better. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's right. That is called inspiration. So Damon, we want to hear from you. So NKU basketball alumni, former athlete. I mean, what do you believe when you look back and being part of a winning team is the most successful, or the most important factor, I should say, for success in athletes that we can all learn from?
Well, in a team setting, believe it or not, is rapport. You have to have rapport with your teammates. I have to get along with them. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you're sports fans or not, but you can, sometimes you can see great athletes on the same team and they're supposed to win, but they just don't have it. They don't have the rapport to be successful. And then it becomes a struggle between two different powerful players. And when you have players like that, sometimes you can also get clicks on a small team. So the first thing you need to do is have rapport. Once you have rapport with those teammates and you're willing to sometimes make sacrifices, just to be successful. Every player wants to be successful. And me in my position, my thing was, what can I do to help other players be successful? What do I need to sacrifice? Do I need to sacrifice scoring? Do I need to sacrifice having the ball all the time? When people are happy and you have rapport with them, then they actually will play for you. And then with them having that rapport comes success. And success means winning games.
Success means winning games. And I don't know if you heard me recapping earlier, Damon. Glenn Lundy, who's also from your state of Kentucky.
Yes.
You Kentucky boys. He was talking about the Atomic Habits, and he was playing a clip, and he was talking about that winners and losers have the same goals, right? But only one of them become champions. So we can all start out the same. And I like that you thought of, and because we're a team here at Breakfast with Champions show, we're a team, even though we're all individuals. But I do believe in the power of community and having a similar goal and not working against each other on teams. I know I had my own experiences from a business standpoint, is hiring people who essentially wanted to be you. And this is what I mean by that, Stars and Monica, is that you cannot have someone on your team who's jealous of you. Because, sometimes we could be looking for that python to strike. And I mean, for that, cobra to strike. And it's the python that's the closest to us. It's the gentle squeeze. So with that team mentality, also moving moderately, I think, Damon, and having a level of vetting people and not assuming that just because people are on your team that they're for you. So what are your thoughts there, Stars?
Woo, girl, you are talking to the choir right now, because I am the queen of collaboration and wanting to help the world and change things and give. When the average person that I've been around isn't like that, and then I got messed up in the end. For example, doing events, putting things together, and I'm thinking we're all on the same page for one thing to better the world. And then later on, I find out they're saying different things or doing different things that's not building me up. And then again, they just kind of leave. I think I spoke about this earlier about letting go of certain people so there's space for other people. And I actually had an incident recently where someone didn't really appreciate my worth. And I know what I put into my career. A lot of people think, oh, you're into fitness, you're just dancing and jumping around and lifting weights. Hello, no, there's a lot of research, okay, from studying, reading the books, watching videos. Like Damon said, I put a lot into what I do. And when I have a client, it's all here. But some people don't appreciate their work. I know I got off the topic, but back to what you said, it's super important that you have people around you that appreciate you and know your worth.
Absolutely. We want to be champions, hang with champions, and you want to be around people who truly, truly want to see you win. And not, there was a saying that I heard yesterday, and I was listening to a sermon. I can't remember exactly what Jerry Flowers was saying, but he was saying something about that you'll really see how people who are really loyal to you when they have other options, right? So when you kind of really think about that from that standpoint, Monica, what do you think is part of how do you develop a winning mentality? And then we'll go back to our athlete.
Well, so much of what we just talked about, right? Consistency, integrity, the building that anti-fragile confidence that, you can push through whatever obstacles may come your way, because that's really the essence of building a winning mentality and success, is being able to say to yourself, having that realistic expectation that this might not be a cakewalk. And what am I going to do when I come up against something hard? That's the difference between a champion and not, is the champions persevere. Like Glenn was saying this morning, they both have the same goals, but only one is willing to do what it takes. Right. And so I love the idea of what Damon said about rapport as well. When you have a team of people, you also have to understand that as you grow, and I'm dealing with this with some of my clients right now, as your team grows, they have to have a common goal that they share. And you, as the leader of the team, have to be tuned in to what the dynamic is, so that if you have a little bit of a challenging person on that team who might have a need that they need to feel significant, or that they need to have, maybe a little certainty, or they might be someone who's poking other people. It's important as the leader grows a team to be able to identify those people and be able to mitigate and manage that so that it doesn't spread, because anything can spread in a team. I'm sure as Damon knows, right? And when you're able to identify those areas where the problem is originating, then you tackle it at the root. And that whether that's poor attitude, morale, rapport between team members, whatever it might be. And you have to be courageous. And I think you have to be willing to bench your best players sometimes to show leadership and really make an example of what we will and what we are and are not about on this team.
Thank you so much, Monica. And I appreciate that thought. And we're going to come back to you in just a moment, Damon, because I do want to welcome those that are maybe just joining us to the Breakfast with Champions show. So wherever you are on any of the platforms, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's YouTube, please tell us where you are, where you're from, and what are some of your takeaways from what we're sharing when we're talking about developing a winning mindset, a champion's mindset. So please go ahead and comment, and we would love to get back to you and hear what's your takeaways, what's hitting you. So Damon, when you think about the winning mentality, could you share, because this is also important, because people are listening to us and I don't want them to just get discouraged, because sometimes when we're like rah rah rah, people like, you know what, I'm not in that place, I'm not feeling it. So can you share with us, especially with you having been on a champion team, can you share an example of how you remain motivated and stayed positive after a loss or a setback? Because somebody who is listening or watching or will be listening to us or watching us, they're in a setback right now. So how can people remain motivated by taking some lessons from a champion athlete's mindset?
Well, you know, like Monica stated earlier, you have to be able to get up when you fail. And one thing that basketball does is if you make a mistake, the fans feel the mistake more than you do. You make the mistake and you have to pick yourself up and continue to play. So, you know, by having that attitude, you know, is a double-edged sword, because sometimes I may go through things and I pick myself up too fast and I have to deal with those things later on in life. But playing basketball my whole life, I'm able to, you know, get up, pick myself up, smile, continue to push through and still look for that common goal. So I guess it pretty much depends on the individual. You have to have a strong mindset to actually be able to do that. Some people, you know, they may make a mistake in the game, just one mistake. It might be minute, but that might affect their whole game. Compared to, you know, me, I made the mistake, fine, we'll get it back the next play. And that's going back to having rapport with your teammates, because some of your teammates may not have your support in that moment. You know, you need someone to pat you on the back, say, hey, it's okay, come on, we'll get it next time. That really helps you create that champion mindset. And that goes with rapport, just, you know, becoming a family, having trust in each other. So, you know, even though it's not individual, it's a team, it's a team sport, it's still, you still need that assistance from your team.
You still need that assistance from your team. And Christina Howard Damon just loves your line, pick yourself up and continue to play. You know, it reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Gladiator. It's kind of like you're face down in the dirt, Tina, right? And you smell the dirt and you get back up, you start swinging that sword. So love that. So Damon, if you can help us and if you can share with us today, right? So how has your experiences, because this is also where we want to, no matter what anyone has gone through, it's whether it's teaching us a lesson, it's teaching us something to continue to put us in a place of growth. I mean, what has your own experiences as an athlete, how has it shaped your current outlook in life? I mean, what can you share with us?
Having success when playing sports builds confidence. And I'm continuing optimistic, you know, because I know what success feels like. And I know that I could fail and I'm going to be okay. So, and, you know, that carries over my life to where it's like, I'm going to smile every day and be happy because I know that I've been successful before. It's okay. I know I can pick myself up. So that's carried over for me, you know, and my team. I'm not going to say me and my team having success. It builds a confidence in you. It changes the way that you walk into certain situations. I don't do a whole lot of interviews, but I'm here. Hey, it's fine. You know, it's a confidence thing. So, you know, it really shapes you. It shapes your work ethic. It shapes you wanting to obtain goals. So just winning, it just gives me the foundation to be successful.
The foundation to be
Lacey,
successful.
can I ask Damon a quick question?
Sugar. It's good.
So when you were talking, I was thinking why some people don't win. I was thinking about my clients, and I think it's ego and pride. Have you ever been to a point where, well, I've done so much, and you have this ego or pride where you didn't push through? Have you ever dealt with that at all, Damon?
No, it's just, I guess it depends on the individual. You know, past experiences also determine whether or not you're going to be able to push through things. You know, and you know, I've had traumas in my life, and basketball helped me through them. You know, so with that said, I've never had that experience, but I'm pretty sure other people have, and it sometimes just depends on the individual.
Thank you so much for answering that. Because I don't understand how I'll have a client and they're just like, they think I can do this. And it's like, leave the ego at the door and then just keep pushing through. So thank you so much for that advice.
And just giving you more of your question is that, remember, in a team setting, in order for you to have success, you have to leave the ego at the door. That's when that rapport comes in. You know, I got 13 or 14 other guys with testosterone who want to be successful. And in me seeing a bigger picture, I say, okay, let me just step back a little bit and let's see how I can get everybody on the same page. So that you have to leave your ego at the door in certain situations.
Have to leave your ego at the door in certain situations. Absolutely love that. You know, we have a few more minutes, Damon, but I would love for you to share, because you just mentioned it. And I believe that we share in order to inspire others, especially in the sense that they can see a Stars or a Monica or Damon or Dr. Janie and think, well, that's not me. You know, you mentioned that you've gone through some traumas. What can you share with us? You know, I know that you had a devastating trauma at the age of 14. How have you used that to fuel you and to being having a champion's mindset? I mean, what can you say about that in a few minutes so that can help someone that may be listening or watching?
Well, you know, when my mom passed away at that age you said that she did, you know, and back then therapy wasn't mainstream. We didn't understand therapy in the 80s, you know, and it was rather costly coming from my background. So, you know, I had to find something that could help me push through. And what pushed me through was sports, was basketball, was having a family, you know, a team that say everything's going to be okay. So, and then, you know, and playing sports like that, it took my mind off that trauma. You know, it gave me 2, 3, 4 hours to where I didn't have to think about anything in the world except playing that game. So it helped me through a lot of those traumas. People ask me to this day, how was you able to do it? I had an outlet. Sometimes you need an outlet, you know, just to be able to get through trauma. It's okay to have an outlet, but you're still going one day kind of have to face that trauma. And you might not be able to face that trauma right then and there, but later on in life, as you mature and you start to understand things, then you're able to put everything in perspective and then understand that, hey, you know, I went through that trauma for a reason.
That was just a beautiful share. It's like looking at the time and the space, the resources that were in front of you, that you took that pain and that passion, you turned that pain to purpose points is what I hear it. And in those purpose points contributed to that champion mindset, and you kind of integrated it. So when we look at trauma work, a lot of times people try to shove things down. But ultimately, what we want to be able to help people do in trauma work is help them integrate those stories into their life. It's part of their life, even though it may be painful. But just the fact that you're sharing that with us right now, someone's going to hear that and they're going through something. They may not be able to receive it because they're in the middle of it, but continuously going and growing through it is going to be so important. And I'm so glad that Ramon is back, because we want to hear from some of the viewers and listeners, some of their comments and their thoughts. What can you share with us, Ramon? What's everyone saying about this?
Absolutely. People are saying it's on fire. I think people are still overwhelmed that we're doing live video. And if I may, I just want to bring, if I may, Dr. Lindy, bring Dre in as well, athlete to athlete. Dre, can I bring you in right now? Is that okay with you, brother? Let me know. Just do a thumbs up if you're good. Okay, cool. I think I hope you.
Yes.
Great. Here we go. Okay, and you can go mute off every
I'm juggling a bunch of.
Yeah, you're good. You're
devices
good.
right
You can go mute. I just want to mention, bring Damon to meet Dre. But Dr. Janie
Hello,
Lacey,
Dre.
what a great session. Let's give the Clubhouse audience. Anybody want to unmic, say your name, and just say, "Hey, Dr. Janie," and say your name is, and talk to Dr. Janie Lacey and her guests as we wrap up the end of this amazing segment. I'll pause. I'm going to try, Dr. Janie, to pause for 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And again, Clubhouse side, Twitter Spaces aside, we have not forgotten you. You are fully a part of this program, but we always want to give you space, especially towards the end of our segments, to jump in. And I'll do it one more time. Anybody on the Clubhouse side want to say hi to Dr. Janie Lacey? And if not, it's okay. Or Demond, her guest.
It's Mary Lynn.
Mary Lynn, the mic is yours. Go.
Sound check.
And just mute yourself across platforms, Mary Lynn. And I'll bring you back down, Dre, so you can test a bit. Oh, no. I'll keep you there, Dre, so you can test a bit. But Mary Lynn, the mic's yours. Talk to us.
I just want to make sure I wasn't causing some feedback. Dr. Janie, I'm not hurt that it is no longer Therapy Thursday, but Mindset Monday. You guys are killing it. And teamwork makes the dream work. So loving it, guys.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.
And Dre, what you do want to do, Dre, unless it causes problem for you, just mute yourself on the Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces side. We're bringing that feed through here. But Dr. Janie Lacey, first of all, Demond, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being here. What a great segment. But Dr. Janie Lacey, please, the show is still yours. I was just jumping in to get any Clubhouse feedback, Twitter. But take us out. What do you want to wrap us up with? What a great segment you've had today. Please take it away.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to go around to our panel and even Dre. Hello, Dre. Good morning. Glad that you are here. But I want to start with our special guest, Demond. I mean, what would be some of if you had to summarize in 10 seconds what you want people to take away with how they can develop a champion's mindset, a winning mindset from your own personal experience? I mean, what can you share with us? And then we'll have Monica and Stars do the same.
Basically, have the mentality to push through. Because believe it or not, successful is contagious. Once you get over that first hurdle, successes continue to come to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Demond. We certainly enjoyed you being here with us and being part of our special co-host team on this kickoff. And we hope to have you back. So Stars, the same question. I mean, what are some 10 seconds from our conversation? I mean, what do you want people to take away?
Yes, 10 seconds. My key takeaway is your vibe is your tribe, your vibration. Make sure that you're constantly surrounding yourself with amazing people, because that's going to fuel you and make you a better person. And then you can change the world. There you go.
Thank you, Stars. You can change the world. And Monica.
Champions are accountable to their future selves. You got to decide who is your future self and act as if you are that person today.
Love it. Love it. Monica makes me think of Les Brown's quote, hell on earth is meeting the person you could have been. No, we want to be that person. Well, I certainly appreciate you all joining us, Demond, because when I hear your conversation, I think about what are the common things that athletes do to win championships. I hear developing and maintaining a strong work ethic, staying focused on their goals, having a positive attitude, maintaining good physical health. That's important. Following the advice of coaches and trainers, that's the team as well, and continuing to learn and hone in on your skills and utilizing strategies in competition that are led by example, both on and off the field. So thank you so much for joining us, Demond, and we hope to see you in the future. And Ramon, let's bring in our next athlete.
Indeed, Demond, thank you. I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to bring up Dre. Demond, nice to meet you. Dr. Janie Lacey, what a great job. Indeed, Dre Baldwin, you're going live now. Oh, that's right. Dre is streaming too.
Yeah, I'm talking to my IG audience and letting them know what's happening.
So, Dre, what did you think about that? Dr. Janie Lacey had a athlete, as you are, Dre, just for 5 seconds here, chat a little bit, and talked about champions mindset, perseverance, keep going on, etc. You know this. Talk to Dr. Janie. You know this aspect from your experience, Dre.
Yeah, I didn't hear the whole thing. I
That's
only
okay.
heard pieces
I'm
of it. I
being
was
an
kind of
athlete.
getting my stuff in order right there. But yeah, absolutely. The great thing about sports as it parallels the business is that showing up every day, doing the work, dealing with setbacks. Not every shot's going to go in. There's so many parallels between what we do, especially in the entrepreneurship world and the professional world. And this is why sales companies and professional organizations, they like to recruit athletes out of college to come work for them, even if they're not going to play a sport. Because of the discipline that we have to have. We're used to being coached. We know what it means to organize a schedule, showing up every day. And we understand that sometimes we're going to lose, sometimes we're going to win. And those are things that everybody needs, no matter what you do in life.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Janie Lacey, one more time, if you don't mind, just tell us who you are, what you do. Again, we have, I always get the numbers confused, 27,000 or 27 million. I can't know the amount of viewers we have here. But Dr. Janie Lacey, one more time, tell us who you are, how we can reach you as we get ready to start Dre Baldwin's segment, Dr. Janie.
Thank you so much, Ramon. And I absolutely love that, Dre. And I just love the work on your game, because that is absolutely phenomenal. Because whether we are in sports, whether we're in our career, whether it's in our life, we're constantly working on ourselves. And I am Dr. Janie Lacey, and you can find me on any of the social media outlets at Dr. Janie Lacey. And I'm happy to answer any of your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Janie Lacey. Listen, Dre Baldwin, the mic is all yours, brother. Listen, this is the Breakfast Champion Show. My name is Ramon Ray. You can find us live streaming on bwcdaily.com when it works, but definitely YouTube is going live. I'm going to turn the mic over to Dre Baldwin. Dre, feel free to give me verbal cues. You want anything me to do for you, but the mic is all yours, and we have Dre Baldwin work on your game until 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dre, the mic is all yours.
Thank you, Ramon. Let me ask the audience a question. How many of you have ever been at an event, whether that was you were at church, whether you were at a conference, you were at a seminar, or you've been in school, anywhere where there was an audience listening and there was someone on the stage speaking, whatever stage, and for whatever reason, while the speaker was speaking, you kind of lost track, fell asleep while they were talking? Any of you ever had that happen in any space? If so, put the number 1 in the chat. If you've ever had that happen, somebody was talking and you just fell asleep and you just completely lost track or stopped paying attention to what the speaker was saying. Put a 1 in the chat if that's ever happened to you. Now, I can't see the actual chat, so I'm going to assume. Let me go over to the comment section. Maybe I can see it here. Okay, I can only see some comments in stream. I can't see the Clubhouse comments, but I'll check later. Secondly, how many of you have ever, you may not want to admit this one, you've been on stage talking and you noticed that some people in the audience weren't listening to you? They just stopped listening. They were not paying attention. They were dozing off, kind of going in another direction, looking around, checking their phones, talking to each other, but not listening to what you were saying. Put a 2 in the chat if you ever had that happen. Now, you might not want to admit that one. If you don't want to admit it, it's all right. And here's another one. How many of you has ever been on stage and you were given some kind of presentation? Again, this could be in a classroom. This could be at church. This could be at a Toastmasters meeting. This could be in a conference you're speaking at. And you fell asleep while you were speaking because you weren't even interested in the thing that you yourself was saying. Okay. Now, you may not know it, but it probably happens. Not the part about you falling asleep. You'll know that if you fell asleep. But this is what I'm going to talk about here today. The topic here today is why you need to tell stories, why you want to integrate story into your presentations. You want to integrate them into there endlessly and as much as possible. There's no such thing as telling too many stories anytime you're giving any kind of public presentation. I don't care if it's on Instagram, Facebook, StreamYard, YouTube. If you are speaking at a conference with 10,000 people, if you are speaking to your family at a family meeting with 5 people in the room, you are speaking anywhere in between that, you want to integrate story endlessly into everything that you do. Now, this topic, when I thought of this one, I'm thinking specifically about those of you who are brand builders, you are experts, you are thought leaders, anybody who is, if you're selling your intellectual property, that is taking your knowledge and your information and you're putting it out to the world so that other people can learn from it. And if you are the main attractive character of your business, i.e., when people think of your business, they think about you personally. And when they think about you personally, they're thinking about your business. You need to add story and put as much story as you possibly can and integrate it with the information, knowledge, tactics, strategies, etc., that you put into your presentations. I'm going to tell you why here today. And I'm going to share with you 1, 2, how many points we got? 3 points I'm going to share. Hopefully we get these all in the next 22 or fewer minutes. And then I'm sure Ramon will jump in and we'll have a little bit of conversation. So let me get right to this. Here's the first point. Remember that information, ladies and gentlemen, is forgettable. And let me prove it to you. How many of you here have a high school diploma or a college degree? Many of you have at least one of those, right? High school diploma, college degree. Put the number 3 in the chat if you have one of those. High school diploma, college degree. I would think most of you have one. Okay, let me ask you a question. All right. Explain to me, since you have a high school diploma, college degree, all of you had to take some type of math class, right? Explain to me how the quadratic formula works. Explain to me the 7 steps of the scientific method without Googling it. All right. Tell me something that you learned in history class in high school. All right. Explain to me tell me 10 items off of the, what do they call it? The periodic table. All right. Now, all of you have a degree, right? All you graduated. So name me some of those things. Most of you probably can't. And here's why. Even though you have a degree, which means you had to have passed that class and proved, quote unquote, that you knew all the information, but none of you has retained it over all the years. But can any of you tell me a story of something funny that happened in college, or something funny that happened in high school, or a story of something that occurred during those years that you still remember 10, 20, 30 years later? Our information is easily forgettable. We forget information. Even information that's really, really good, we forget it. I remember speaking at events myself, and I've spoken at a lot of events. And I remember once I was speaking at this event. This was in 2018. I had spoken at this event the year before. They didn't know me. They kind of put me in the new guy room, and I proved myself. And the feedback was so good, they asked me to come back and speak next year and give a keynote. So I was going to give a keynote at this event the following year. But I remember this first time that I was going to speak, they reached out. Any of you who speaks at like business types of conferences, you know that this always happens. About 30 days before the event happens, you get this email from the organizers of the event, or the person who's in charge of the logistics. You always get this email about a month out from the event. And anybody put a 4 in the chat, you ever got this email? Here's the email. We need your slides. Please send me your slides. So put a 4 in the chat if you ever gotten the "we need your slides" email about 30 days out from an event that you were speaking at. Just send us your slides. We need the slides. So they're emailing me, Dre, we need your slides. Please send all your slides. We need your slide deck so we can load it in and make sure that everything's ready for the event, and we can load it into the PowerPoint when it's time for you to get on stage and all of that. And I always have the same response when I get that email. I don't have any slides. There are no slides. So I told them there were no slides. And whenever I speak at events and don't use slides, people always comment on that. Like, Dre, I'm so glad you spoke without using slides. Or sometimes I even announce it and the audience will clap that I don't use slides. So any of you want a tip you can use next time you do a speaking gig, don't use slides. The audience will thank you for it. But anyway, I told them there was no slides. And the person wrote back to me. This is the event organizer person wrote back, well, Dre, we highly recommend that you use slides. Our audience loves slides. They need to see slides. They like to be able to visually follow what you're saying while you're talking. And I said, well, I don't use slides. I don't need slides. Now, mind you, they don't know me. All right, I'm the new guy. They don't really know me from anywhere. Only reason I had the speaking gigs because I had basically filled out a form as an absolute nobody to them. And this goes back and forth, me and the event planner. Eventually, they got the main guy who was running the whole event. He eventually jumps into the email chain, and he strongly suggests, that was his words, I strongly suggest you get at least a few slides, Dre, because our audience is highly technical. This is like a marketing conference. They really like to see slides. And I assured them, trust me, just let me do my presentation how I do it. I get into the room. They finally relent and allow me, quote unquote, to do my presentation with no slides. And I announced to them at the beginning of the presentation, when I'm in the room, I say, hey, there's no slides here. So all y'all used to looking at that projector, just watch me. And they laughed and they clapped. The whole point is, people don't want your information. They're going to forget most of it anyway. These days, when you go to conferences, you see people with their slide presentations and people in the audience taking pictures of the slides. Let me ask you this question. All of you who take pictures of slides when you go to events, when's the last time you looked at those pictures? I'll take a sip of my water while you all think about that. When you go to events and the person has slides and you take pictures of the information on the slides, when's the last time you actually looked at the pictures that you took on your phone? See, the reason why I don't use slides when I give presentations is because I put enough story into my presentation that I don't need slides, and I don't want to have to remember all that information anyway. And you ain't going to remember it either. So it doesn't even matter, right? So when I give presentations, for example, if I'm giving a presentation on the stage, I just look at how much time I have and I think, or how many stories do I need to tell? That's how I formulate my presentations. So if I have an hour to give a presentation, I figure that's going to be, I'm going to tell 5 stories. So and I'll leave some time for Q&A. Let's say about 10 minutes for Q&A. So it's story number 1. And I think about my points. What are the points that I want to share? And then what's a story that matches that point? And it might be my story, it might be somebody else's story. It may be just an anecdote that I want to share. But I think story, point, application. That's how I give my presentations. I tell you the story, so I grab your attention. Then I tell you the point of why I told you the story. Then I give you the application of it. But the story takes up the majority of the space. And I tell other people this when they give presentations as well, because the last thing you want to do is have to cram your mind with a whole bunch of information that, again, is going to be hard for you to remember. It's going to be boring for the audience to receive. People remember story. We are wired to remember it. That's why you want to use more story than you use information in any presentation. So I want to be engaging throughout. And I tell the audience, look, don't look at the screen. Look at me. All right, I'm the person. I came here so you can watch me. Don't come here to look at the slides. So as I've shared on, for example, I have a podcast. I had over 2,000 episodes of my podcast. Even the everyday listeners can't recall 99% of the stuff that I've shared. And those of you watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, 99% of the stuff I've ever shared, you don't remember it. But when I tell a story, people always remember that, even if you only hear it once or twice, because human beings are wired to follow narrative. We are wired to follow stories. All right, what is the oldest book that we know of in the world? Is the Bible. And what is the Bible? The Bible is a series of stories that have been handed down, passed down, and accepted for centuries. Why? Because it's a story. If the Bible was a book full of information, you wouldn't remember it, but you will remember a story. Everybody remembers a narrative, and we can connect a story to information. So anytime you need to share information with an audience connected to a story, is much easier for them to recall it and retain it and receive it. All right. That's why you need to know your story. And even personally, you need to know your story, brand builders, influencers, those of you who are the main person in your organization. You need to know your story. You need to be telling it over and over and over again, because that's what people will connect to. When people connect to your story, they will accept your information. Say that again. When people connect to your story, they will accept your information. You want to build an audience. What you need to do is tell them your story. Tell them why you exist. Why are you here in the marketplace? Why are you doing what you do? When people connect with that, then they'll say, okay, now that I connect with this person, now I understand why they're doing what they do. Because we need a reason. We need to understand the why behind somebody's actions. When we understand that why, we will follow that person to the ends of the earth with whatever information that they put out, because we connected with their reason. And the story tells people your reason for existing in the marketplace. You want people to connect with you as a person, then they'll take in your information. So tell your story until you are tired of telling it, and then tell it some more. Tell your story till you're tired of telling it, and then tell it some more. And I tell audiences, you should be able to tell your story in increments of 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and an hour. So if you go on someone's podcast and they say, give us a little bit of your background, that's maybe the 2-minute version. If you are in the elevator, you might need a 30-second version. If you're giving a keynote, you might need the 15-minute version. But you need to be able to tell your story in increments of different lengths and be able to do it over and over and over again. And don't stop. Keep telling that story, because that's what causes people to connect with you. Even if they heard it before, they want to hear it again. Point number 2. What your story does is it creates an emotional connection and allows your audience to connect with you. I just said that. The good thing about all of us being human and having a story is that none of us has a perfect life. All right, anybody here got a perfect life? Put the number 0 in the chat if you got a perfect life. All right, I don't think I'm going to see any zeros. All right, we all have a story, and we all have had our ups and downs. We've all had our challenges. We've all been in situations in life where it looked like things weren't working, and then things were working, and then they were not working. And we all been in the opposite situation. But like stuff wasn't working, then we figured it out and we made it work. We've all done that. And the good news for all of that is that everybody who is listening to you has dealt with those things. This is especially important for those of you who are in elevated positions. And if you're standing on a stage in front of an audience, you are literally in an elevated position. And when you're in that elevated position, one thing that you should hold your elevated position, because it kind of holds your frame of being the expert or the keynote or the information holder who's up there giving people what they need. At the same time, the audience has to be able to relate to you. You want them to respect you, but they also have to relate to you. They respect your accomplishments. They can see your bio. They can read it on the little website, and they saw your blurb in the program for the event that they're at. But also, you got to relate to the audience, because if you're standing up on the stage and telling the audience how great you are, but you don't tell them how you've ever been in the seat that they're in, they can't relate to you. And when people can't relate to you, then they will not listen to you. They will not receive what they can't. We cannot receive what we cannot relate to. That's why it's so important that an audience relates to you. And that's why you tell your story, not just your information. We don't relate to information. We receive information. We can consume information. We easily forget information, but we always relate to the story. So you tell your story to let the audience know, listen, I know what it feels like to be in the seat that you're in. Let me tell you how I got from the seat that you're in to the stage that I'm on. And that's when you tell your story. And during that process, you mix in the information. Everybody get what I'm saying? So you want to put this all in together in one big kind of gumbo. Let's put it that way. All right. And you want the audience to know you've dealt with the same things that they dealt with, maybe in a different way, but they can relate to you because they've gone through the same emotions and feelings that you have. And this is where information, comes up short. See, information is completely objective. It is impartial. It has no emotion in it. There's no humanity in information. But when you tell your story, people can understand. They can relate to what? the emotions and the feelings that you went through. And when you tell your story, they understand. No okra in the gumbo. All right, cool. They can understand why you did what you did. They can relate to the feeling, and that's what causes the connection. Remember, everybody, any of you who's ever taken a sales course or learned anything about sales, we all know the saying, what? Facts tell, stories sell. And people make decisions based on emotion, and we come up with logical justification. So it's not that the information does not matter. Information does matter. You have to give people enough information to justify an emotional decision, but the emotion is what triggers people to action. And when you tell your story and allow people to relate to you, that emotion moves them to the action of connecting with you. And when someone's connected to you, it's much easier to influence or persuade someone when they're connected to you emotionally than if there is no emotional connection. Can we all agree with that? Think about that. And you'll notice that it happens all the time in your own life, in your past. Not even now, you're hearing this and maybe thinking about it in a different way, but this has always happened in your life. Even when someone moves you to action, when there's an emotional connection, it's much easier for them to move you to action than when there is not an emotional connection. All right, that's why I tell stories all the time to illustrate the points that I share. Even if I'm telling somebody else's story, I will tell a story that happened to someone else because it allows me, it tethers the information to the story, and it's much easier for that information to carry on when it's connected to a story. Point number 3, as I already said, facts tell, stories sell. So since you know this, you should be using the thing that sells all the time, because all of you, in case you didn't know, all of us are salespeople. Everybody's a salesperson. You're either good at it or you're bad at it, but we are all salespeople. Anytime you're trying to influence or persuade another human being to do anything, you are selling. And that includes yourself. Number one person you got to sell is the person in the mirror. So if you want to move people to action, you want to be more influential, you would like to be more persuasive, start using more stories. It doesn't have to be your story. It can be somebody else's story. It can be an anecdote. It can be a small little thing that you saw or heard. It can be something that happened to you, but you always want to be telling stories because, again, this is what people are wired to connect with, not your information. You're better off getting people to feel your story and relate to you than you are getting people to agree with your points logically. Should I say that one again? You are better off getting people to feel your story and relate to you and connect with you emotionally than you are getting them to agree with you logically, even if you have amazing logical information that is perfectly rational and it makes perfect sense and it's completely objective and it is indisputable. How many of you have ever presented information like that to an audience of people or even one person and you were unable to persuade them to action? Put the number 6 in the chat if you have ever had that happen. You gave someone perfectly logical, rational, objective, factual, 100% indisputable. You cannot challenge this information. It was 100% perfect, and they still did not do what you wanted them to do. I think all of us have had that experience. Why? Because information does not move people to action. What moves people to action is a connection and a story. That's why the story matters so much. So even if you are like me, a very analytical and rational thinker and a very logical person, logical to a fault, I have been accused of being, you still need to use story. You still need to use story because story is what works. And over here at Work on Your Game, we are in the performance and results based business, which means we do what produces results, not what we're naturally inclined to do or what we prefer doing. We do what works, even if that means going against the grain of what we like. And that's what this is all about, is producing results, because story builds the connection. Somebody can agree with your information, but they can get that same information or better information somewhere else. Our information can be duplicated, copied, stolen, hacked. Anybody can take your information and go use it somewhere else, but nobody can take your story. Your story is what you own. And that is the most important part of your business. And you need to be telling it over and over and over and over and over again, because that's what's going to bring people into your world. And that's what keeps people in your world, is the story. It is not your information. Somebody can copy your information and say the same thing you said yesterday, tomorrow on their platform, and nobody know that they stole it from you, but nobody can steal your story. So when somebody connects with your story, they will stick around long after the information is not even necessary anymore. And any of you in the thought leader space, we all kind of understand this. After someone's been in your world for about a year or two, they pretty much got it. They pretty much got everything you got to say. Everything you have to offer, they got it. All right, they know, they understand. Why do they stick around? They don't stick around because you're going to come up with some brand new information that you pull out of your hat. They stick around because they're connected to you emotionally. And what connects people emotionally is not the brilliance of your information. It is the value of the story and the emotional connection that they have with you. And if you don't know what it is, guess what? Ask them. They'll tell you. If they're giving you money, they will give you information. They'll tell you why they're connected with you. So let me recap these points real quick. And then Ramon, I guess you'll jump back on. We have a little banter here, not barter, but banter. And we're talking why to tell your story endlessly. Number one, information is forgettable. They always ask me when I speak at events, give me your slides. I say, there ain't no slides. There are no slides. I don't use slides when I speak. Number two, your story connects emotional connection and allows your audience to connect with you. That is what keeps people around. It is not because they believe you're a genius. You are a genius, but that's not why they're sticking around. Number three, facts tell, stories sell. You want to influence and persuade people, give them stories. Do not give them facts. Facts do not move people to action. We've all probably seen that over the last few years in society. Facts alone will not move people to do anything, but story will. All that said, Ramon, back to you.
Dre, man, what a fantastic segment on the Clubhouse Twitter side or Twitter Spaces side. Again, just to let everybody know, we're watching this live. This is the new BWC Daily Show. Stars Tina, I'm going to bring you up if you're ready. Give me a thumbs up. Here we go. But if you're watching this on the BWCDaily.com side, thank you. Many people are watching this on YouTube, our brand new YouTube channel. We'll be having live programming like this, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on video, and then we'll continue on Clubhouse, 9 a.m. and onwards. Dre Baldwin just dropped science on us. Tina, I'm going to ask you to comment on that in 1 second. Storytelling and speaking and the power of communication. But I just want to prompt, if you're on the Clubhouse side, get ready. We want to come to you. We got about 6 minutes to go before we're bringing up Monica Ricky on the Clubhouse side and Twitter Spaces side. You in the audio, you are part of our live audience. You are part of the show. If you're not here, Dre's just talking to himself and me, and that gets kind of boring and weird. So, Tina, real quick, what do you think of what Dre said? And then we'll see who wants to chat on the Clubhouse side or our Twitter Spaces side. Tina, all you.
Yes, I definitely agree with the storytelling. At least for me, it helps me understand the conversation or the purpose of what you're trying to send to someone. So for example, if you're teaching someone perseverance and you're telling them a story of how you persevered, you can see it and you can feel it. Plus, it makes it a lot easier when you're talking in the public. It's just natural flow. Like, yeah, I remember when I did this, and you get a little more animated and you get a little more excited. So sharing stories is definitely important. Plus, I believe when you share your story, you're releasing if there's pain, you're releasing the happiness, and we have to sometimes just release certain things. So it's very good to share a story.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to ask you all again because we're experimenting. This is live. But may I jump in? Because I want to test this. But let me know, Dre, I'll ask you and then Tina, can I put a 30-second commercial break? Is it like not the right moment, or can I try that now?
Great. Let's go.
Okay, good. I just want to, experimenting and testing, because when we go big, we have to do it, right? When I'm dropping, anyway, let me just stop that. But okay, so Clubhouse side and Twitter Spaces side, get ready. We want to jump in with your questions, your comments for Dre Baldwin. But I just want to test here and run a sponsor. We'll do it from our friends at Zoho. And again, so we'll do it from our friends at Zoho and see what happens. Here we go.
He's been around the world, but he desires more. He's seen it all. It's always what you think's tough. Finance right there all the time.
With over 40 fully integrated applications, you won't be able to contain your excitement either. Run your entire business with Zoho One, the operating system for business.
And what I realized, Dre and Tina, as I was running this, is that this was built for viewers only. Do you notice that? So again, as we evolve and learn, there could have been, for this, we need audio running the whole time. But all right, let me pause. Clubhouse side or Twitter Spaces side, just take your mic off and just say your name if you wish. Dre and Tina, I can carry this, but this is your moment to talk to Dre Baldwin, athlete. You can find him more at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Let me now shut up for 5 seconds and see who wants to join in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, cool.
Jump in about your commercials. I loved the commercials, and I don't know if you know, I have another superpower. So I've got that energy superpower. I also have a superpower to see into the future. And the future for BWC Daily.com, I see in airports, I see in gyms, I see in local restaurants. What if there's someone who's watching and they're like, hey, I want a commercial. Can regular people have commercials in here?
Regular people can have commercials. You can just email me at Ramon@BWCDaily.com. Ramon@BWCDaily.com. Thank you, Tina. Dre Baldwin, back to you. What did you when you think of storytelling, let me just tell you this, Dre. I'll do this and then we'll jump in. We'll see what you say to Dre. My challenge has been, you've been over, what was the word you used? Over logical. My challenge, Dre, I've not used stories a lot.